Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs of 5th May. First is digital Desh e-portal will be launched to facilitate supplementary learning for all classes, for better e-teaching outcomes, for urban sector development, skilling, upskilling and reskilling youth. Right. What is this digital e-portal? It has been seen that hardly 30% of the people who are skilled under Skill India mission are able to work or acquire the skills. So they may need some reskilling, right? That will be ensured to income to increase the livelihood of those people. Also, skilling, that means those who are completely under they have never taken any skill, they will be skilled. And reskilled, reskill means suppose somebody has undertaken a particular skill, they want to improve their income, and they need to some higher level of skill that will generate more and more livelihood, right? Resources for their livelihood. It is reskilling, skilling, upskilling, that is Desh e-portal, right? Digital Desh e-portal, that is for skilling, upskilling and reskilling. Which of the following is right to the most inflationary in its effect? Inflationary, inflation means decline in the value of money. Decline in value of money, right? The money value is declined, right? Or the prices of goods will increase. The same thing, that is called as inflation. Repayment of public debt, that will lead to very slightly increase in the inflation, because when money comes to in the hand of public, they spend and demand increases, and if there is lack of in supply side, then price will increase. With demand, price increases. So we cannot say that this is most inflationary, so this is wrong. Borrowing from public to finance budget deficit, it is a common phenomena. Many times it is in public borrowing is done to finance the budget deficit, but that does not contribute to huge inflation. Borrowing from banks to finance budget deficit, no, they do not create most inflationary. Creating new money to finance a budget deficit, the new money, right? Creating new money, because that because new money when enters to the economy, that creates the most inflationary effect, right? D, that's why, that is why nobody prints in government usually do not print huge amount of money, right? So D is the answer. Consider the following statements about Drone Shakti scheme. Drone Shakti's initiative has been announced to be launched in selected states on pilot basis. See, when drones reach no state, it cannot be in selected states, right? A central government usually they makes the schemes for whole India. So this is wrong. The requirement courses for skilling will be started in all ITIs. See, all ITIs, no, it's impossible. All ITIs cannot provide all this type of skilling. This type also wrong. So both the statements are wrong here. Kavach technology. What is Kavach technology? Kavach is against that will ensure to achieve zero accidents in train. Right. Train collision avoidance system, TCAS, for achieving the goal of zero accidents, that is Kavach. Which the following schemes are aimed at empowerment and protection of women and child? Mission Bastala, it is for child development, right? Vatshalya means child development. Mission Vatshalya. Poshan is for nutrition development of mother and child. Mission Shakti, giving them women empowerment schemes, right? Various schemes comes from the Mission Shakti, providing some short-term loans. These self-help groups, all these things. So all of these they contribute to protection of women and children. Consider the following statement with regard to P-71 project. P-71 project recently seen in the news. The project for Navy to indigenously build and induct 24 submarines by 2030. Yes, 24 submarine by 2030. The project 75, P-75, 6 submarines, right? Now it is talking about 24 submarines by 2030. Recently, INS Vaxir was commissioned, launched, right? INS Vaxir. This is the last vaccine, last project under Project 75. This Project 75 it was started in 1999, right? There is a French company that is MDL Mazgan Doc Limited. With that, this project, this INS Vaxir, INS Karanj, INS Bhagir. Bhagir is now in sea trial, right? It is sea trial. So this is vaccine that is recently commissioned. So this which sorry, it's not commissioned, it's launched, recently launched, right? Recently launched. So INA vaccine, this statement is wrong. So one only is the right answer, right? One only is the right answer. Okay. Arrange the products according to their export quantity in recent times in decreasing order. We obviously the petroleum products, refinery petrol products. India is the largest exporter. Then engineering goods, then mm, gems and jewelry, then gems and jewelry. So 1, 2, 3 is the answer. Engineering goods, especially software. In case of software parts, semiconductors, India is exporting. A is the answer. Consider the following statement: Lokpal have the administrative power over any investigation agency. Yes, including CBI for cases transferred to them by liquid, including CBI. Yes, for cases transferred to them by Lokpal. Yes, it may office of CM, PM, right? Every agency, civil authorities, every agency, Lokpal has the administrative over it, power over them. Expenses of Lokpal be charged on Consolidated Fund of India, right? Yes, they are charge expenditures, right? Charge on charge expenditures means they are not subjected to vote in Parliament. Every expenditure is subjected to vote in the Parliament, but those are those expenditures which are charge expenditure. For example, salary of High Court judges, salary of Supreme Court judges, the expenses of your Comptroller and Auditor General in India, that are there are charge expenditures. They are not so they do not require they do not require the consent of Parliament each time. So both are the answer. Operation Sadbhavana recently seen in the news. In which area? Especially in the northeastern states, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. What is this Operation Sadbhavana? Sadbhavana means creating a goodwill, right? Sadbhavana English is goodwill. Goodwill between the law enforcement officers and the local population. Right? Creating goodwill, that is called as Operation Sadbhavana. Why? They are to end the insurgency, right? To end the insurgency, this goodwill is essential. Why? Because as long as there is army means it will army bills it will that will take some action against some people who are indulged in wrong activities when time some mistake will happen, and that will create anger among the masses, and some of them will also join the terrorist organization or insurgency. This is the common phenomena, right? These are cause and effect. Just because there is army, terrorism is created. Whenever terrorism is created, army comes, right? It's not that if you remove army that the issue of terrorism will be solved. It's not like that. suddenly, but gradually that need to be reduced, and that this insurgency need to be countered, right? Recently, Asian Waterward Census (AWC) is being carried out across 7 wetlands in the National Capital Region (NCR). Consider the following with respect to Asian Waterward Census. Conducted January of each 2 year, right? Which of the following statements are not correct? Okay. So recently, waterward census is being carried out across 7 wetlands in the National Capital Region. What is about Asian waterward census? See, this is Asian waterward census. Asian waterward census, and this is conducted January each 2 year. No, it's not each 2 year. It is every year. So it is every year on month of January. Every year it is created. This year it is conducted by Bombay Natural History Society. But uh, the nodal agency are your IWC, that is International Waterward Census, and Wetland International. These are two of the nodal agency who will implement Asian Waterward Census. So both those statements are not correct. Right? Both are not correct because International Waterward Census and Wetland International, they both conduct Asian Waterward Census. This time it happened in your Andhra Pradesh. Bombay Natural History Society, they has cooperated there, but it is not that it happens in every 2 years. It happens in every year, right? Wetland International is an NGO, right? And IWC International uh, Waterward Census. It's a program. This started in 1987. Since 1987, this Asian Waterward Census this is continuing. Okay, we'll see some important prelim facts, short facts. Open network for digital commerce. It is Indian government is set to launch open network for digital commerce. Why? This is a native objective to promote open networks in all aspects of exchanging goods and services on over digital electronic networks. It is based on open source methodology using open specification, open network protocols, independent of any platform. Independent of any platform, open network digital commerce. This need to be started in India. The government is ready to launch indigenously developed e-commerce network for public in 100 Indian cities Diwali this year. It's a pilot project launched in 5 cities: Delhi NCR, Bengaluru, Shillong, Coimbatore initially. Implementing body Department of Promotion Industry, that is DBIIT. Fully executed platform would be e-commerce UPI is to digital payment domain in India. See, India is nationalizing. India has various indigenous technology. It is technological development. For example, we have a RuPay card, we have UPI. So similarly, India is going to launch this national network for digital commerce. As e-marketplace is the new place where that makes people billionaire. For example, your Amazon owner, he becomes billionaire, or Oyo becomes billionaire. So now e-commerce is increasing. There is huge potential. So government is also want to invest in e-commerce as there is a potential, right? Pilot project. The open network platform will be five in five cities, in certain cities like Delhi, Bengaluru, because it's digital commerce. Digital commerce. It is not easy to start it throughout India suddenly, because you have to create additional network of the transportation, right? So that's why it is launched in certain cities, that is Delhi NCR, Bengaluru, Bhopal, Shillong, and Coimbatore initially. The Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade that will implement the open network digital commerce. By launching ONDC, the government objective is to promote open platform for exchange of goods and services through electronic networks. Exchange of goods and services through electronic networks, through e-networks, helping hand to Kirana stores. It will provide millions of Kirana stores and consumers an alternative to multinational platforms Amazon and Walmart. Kirana stores means small stores. It is always seen that when big malls came, this they affect these Kirana stores or small stores. Their business they becomes down automatically. But now they will help the Kirana stores. How? Now they can sell their products throughout India, not limited to a particular region, right? So, for example, a particular sort of small store of Delhi, they have the potential to sell across the India by digital platform, right? Their customer base is not limited to a particular geographical area around their surrounding area. End monopolies. It will end the monopoly of tech giants who have abused their position to benefit only big sellers at the cost of smaller ones like Kirana stores owners and small shops. Right. End monopolies. End monopolies means big stores like Amazon, Flipkart, they have huge dominance regarding e-commerce, right? So that will reduce their monopolies, and small sectors, the small businesses, they will also get the opportunity. Then interactive platform will let buyers and sellers interact with each other and transact online. Interact with each other and transact online. Revolutionize. It will digitize the value chain. Standardized operations will bring efficiency in logistics and more formalization of the unorganized economy. Right? More formalization of unorganized economy, because that will standardize the operations and efficiency logistics. See, we have to develop our logistics system, because even today we have a, for example, a postal system that based on logistics. So you have to develop these logistics systems that will give impetus to our trade and business, that will provide boost to our economy. Local language. The apps would have been local languages for buyers and sellers, so that a greater number of stakeholders can interact. Right, greater number of stakeholders can interact. The apps would highlight small merchant and rural customers. So this will um, the applications, right? The portal that will help in local language would be local languages for buyers, so that there will be no language barriers for the consumer, for the sellers and customers. The next will impact is Reserve Bank report on currency and finance (RCF). Recently, Reserve Bank of India released a report on currency and finance. What are they? RCF estimated 6.8 to 8.5 as a feasible range of medium-term GDP growth with a timely rebalancing of monetary and fiscal policy, likely being the first step of its journey. The report reflects the views of the contribution and not the central bank. Okay. Release report on currency and finance (RCF) feasible range of medium term of GDP, that is 6.5 to 8.5. IMF has projected 8.2 medium term GDP in 2023 with a timely rebalancing monetary and fiscal policy like fast income journey. The report reflects views on contribution of contributors, not of the central bank. Right. The RCF cautioned that growth is at risk once general government debt exceeds the threshold of 66% of the GDP. 66% of GDP. If the government debt increases, then mm, then that will be at risk. India suffered from biggest pandemic-induced losses in the world in terms of output, lives, livelihoods, which may take years to recover. Right? In pandemic, all the whole country has suffered. Right? There is a growth of minus 24% of GDP growth we witnessed. Right? So that it has spillover effects for long years. It will have. Economic activity has barely recovered from pre-COVID levels even after 2 years regarding demand and supply. For example, supply of your fuel that has not increased despite the COVID lockdowns are over, right? During COVID lockdowns, suddenly the demand of petroleum products they got reduced, but when the demand increases, then the supply couldn't develop in that way. Russia-Ukraine conflict has also dampened the momentum of recovery, impact thus transmitting high commodity prices, weaker global growth outlook, and tighter global financial conditions. So what need to be done? Timely rebalancing and monetary policy and fiscal policy should be the fast step of journey. The report has suggested that structural reforms, including enhancing access to litigation-free, low-cost land, raising quality labor through public expenditure on education, health skill innovation, scaling of research and activities, emphasis on innovation and technology. The report recommended creating an enabling environment for startups, unicorns, rationalization of subsidies, promote inefficiencies. Rationalization of subsidies means promote inefficiencies means removing the archaic laws, old laws. RCF emphasis is necessary to win our public sector banks for their dependence on government for recapitalization. Right. Monetary policy has because every public sector bank like your SBI, they are again and again they are demanding regarding their post performance so far as NPA is concerned, non-performing asset is concerned. That's why because public sector means everybody's property is nobody's responsibility. As they are again and again dependent on the government for recapitalization, that creates a problem. That's why it is said that necessary to in a way all the public sector banks and governments should be reduced to a mere stakeholder, and that money need to be introduced in other financial projects. Monetary policy has to be assigned priority to price stability as the nominal anchor for the future growth is trajectory. Nominal anchor for the future growth is trajectory. The nominal anchor for future growth is trajectory. So monetary policy has there should be price stability. Price stability means inflation should be controlled. These are the recommendations for RCF. Design linked incentive schemes, DLI scheme. The government will review norms and design linked incentive schemes, which envisages to support 100 companies involved in product design and semiconductor space as a part of 70,000 crore scheme for developing electronic chip system in the country. Right? Electronic chip system, design linked incentive schemes to develop electronic chip system ecosystem in the country under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Right, MIT. It was announced by Ministry of Information and Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. They aims to provide financial infrastructure support to companies setting up fabs or semiconductor making plants in India. Aims to create hybrid ecosystem for semiconductor chip design in the country so that we can export a huge amount of semiconductor chip because they are very important so far as the computer digital devices are concerned. To promote domestic manufacturing semiconductors and allied devices, the scheme is expected to provide global competitive incentive package to companies in semiconductors, displays, manufacturing as well as design. So this is regarding this design linked incentive schemes for the semiconductors. Global competitive incentive package right to the companies and stakeholders. It has three components which are Chip Design Infrastructure Project. Under CDAC, will set up India Chip Center to host the state-of-the-art design infrastructure, for example, EDA tools, IP cores, so state-of-the infrastructure project that will also design, right? Facilitate to access supported companies. The product design linked incentive schemes. Under it, reimbursement up to 50% is eligible if the subject to a selling of 15 crore per application will be provided as fiscal support to the approved applicants who are engaged in semiconductor design. Right? There may be reimbursement 50% of eligible expenditure. Right? There should be 15 crore per application production linked incentive that will be given. Deployment of linked initiative. Under this initiative, 64% of the new scales turnover 5 years subject to a selling of 30 crores per application. Which will to approve applicants who semiconductor design for integrated circuits, chipsets, system of chips, IP core semiconductor designs are deployed in electronic products. So their incentive of 64% on net sale turnover over 5 years subject to a selling of 30 crore per application. So there are various facilities of this scheme. One is chief design infrastructure support. Second is the product design linked incentive. Third is deployment linked incentive. Right. So here all of them that will support the scheme. India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (SEPA). The bilateral trade pact comes into force. Right. The bilateral trade pact, India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, that comes into force. We have already discussed it when it was the negotiation. I will again discuss it. The bilateral trade pact, India is the first in the region to first comprehensive trade agreement with any country in a decade. That is India UAE comprehensive agreement. It would allow 90% of country export duty access to the Emirates. Exports duty free access. That means 90% of our exports will be duty free. That will increase our exports. Right, SEPA is likely to benefit about $26 billion worth of Indian products that are currently subjected to 5% import duty. So this 5% import duty will be abolished, so that will go to freely to UAE market. So demand will increase and the supply from India will increase. Government will get more revenues and there will be more employment. The SEPA, the consignment of goods consisting of jewelry items from India to UAE under India UAE SEPA was flagged. India handed over certificate of origin to three exporters of gems and jewelry sector. Under the new cost system, consignment will attract zero custom duty. So there will be zero custom duty certificates of origin. So these goods will get um, a duty-free access to the UAE market. What is this comprehensive economic partnership agreement (SEPA)? It's a kind of trade pact covers negotiation of trade services instrument. Other areas are economic partnership. India signed SEPA with South Korea, and Japan. These two countries, India has signed comprehensive economic partnership, and it has already signed with UAE. Then the new strategic economic agreement will increase the bilateral trade in goods from 200 billion over the next 5 years. The signed agreement increase trade in services will be 15 billion. So it will increase the trade between both the countries. Agreement of comprehensive agreement will cover trade in goods, services, technical barriers to trade, sanitary, dispute settlement, movement of natural persons, telecom. These are the areas where India and UAE comprehensive separate trade deal is signed. So what is the significance of this deal? Yes, other are customer, for example, your custom procedure, pharmaceutical products, government procurement, hyper investment. So in all these cases, it has to liberalize. Significance of the deal. Enhance market access. CEPA will boost bilateral trade from 60 billion to 100 billion in next 5 years. It will develop our relationship with the Middle East, right? Or of that will certify the look west policy, act look west policy, and act west policy. The other significance. India has welcomed the investigation from investment from Gulf country to Jammu and Kashmir. Depends on the relationship between UAE and also Indian exporters gain access to other West Asian countries because trade increase. So we can there may be also the possibility of tourism. Digital trade. UAE hopes enhance yes digital trade. Neopay will be launched with UAE. UAE hopes to get enhanced market access in Indian petrochemicals, metals, and dates. Indian goods flow other than GCC countries as UAE has no custom barriers. Energy ties. UAE is India's third largest energy supplier of crude oil and second largest of LPG. Crude oil that is basically processed crude oil, right? Refinery from refinery. And second largest supplier of LPG and energy, nuclear energy, and next of financial bilateral energy ties, right? So this will boost India's exports, especially the right. Problem is that there is some negotiation issue between both the countries, then lack of global giant in experience, procedural issues like lack of planning, implementation, bureaucratic bottlenecks that are present in India even today, and that are the procedure bottlenecks. So here the lecture ends today. We'll discuss preliminary objective questions from tomorrow at 2:30. Objective questions will be discussed due to certain reasons couldn't continue for a long time. Thank you.